Now, as always, it's your guys' room, so I want to hear from you. I want your insights, your takeaways. And one of the things we're going to play with today, if you stick around till the end, we're going to do some mini masterminding right here in the room. So that means microphones hot, live conversation. I've actually got Coach Camacho leading it today, and it very well may just get you in a totally new place mentally for today and for the weekend. That being said, I'm sure business strategies also got you in a new place for today and for the weekend. So as always, I'm watching for hot mics. I
You
am
keep coming in
watching
and
for
out, Russ.
hands up. What was that?
You keep coming in and out.
Mm-hmm. Hot mic.
Interesting.
It's
Well,
like you're just
Like,
that.
like nobody can hear you right now.
was
Yeah.
that the whole time or just recently?
It's not the whole time if I'm lip reading you right. It's just in and out.
Weird.
Now we can hear you.
Perfect. So one of you, what do you have to say about the content rather than about Russ's unstable internet?
Did you do that on purpose? You did. Okay. So I'm haven't really been participating. I've been reading and I've been sick and I'm pretty much better. And so I am almost where you are. But what I've noticed is there's so much in this book. It's essential. I mean, if you want to become a ninja, and I'm pretty excited about this year, you've got to go back. And one of the things you got to go back to is the thing that tells you why we're doing this. Don't be jealous of the people. I mean, it doesn't say it that way, but don't be jealous of the people that are awesome. Learn from them and remember what you learned and apply what you learned. And so this is all very exciting stuff. I have three kind of groups going through and doing this. And so I've got my own affirmations and I've got all this stuff going on. So I'm excited about being caught up on Monday.
Awesome. Excited for that as well. I'm glad you're plugging in now, Tom, and really leaning into this. I'm excited to have you continue on this journey with us throughout 2025. So appreciate you. Thank you. All right. I love it. You guys are willing to turn mic on to chirp at me. Who wants to talk about the actual content? Sarah, I see your mic on. What do you got, my dear?
I mean, you can always count on me to talk, right? Um, I love the conversion ratio chart. I am a huge fan of that. I mean, if I didn't need a snapshot to tell me where to spend some money, that is it. It is perfect. Direct mail, I hear about geo farming all the time. Well, that looks like a big old waste of money to me, right? So, cold internet lead generation, which is 16 to 1. I mean, my leads are warm. So, but yeah, I see where that is a big thing. And it says underneath there, while strategies work, ninjas are focused on the vital few that give the biggest return for their investment, time, and money. Period. Love it.
And again, on the cold internet lead generation, it was 1,600 to
1,600 to 1. Yeah.
Okay. And yet, oh, I need to buy leads. I got to buy leads. I need more leads. And man, how much does it cost you to talk to people? Like people you know, and talking about referrals. On this page 97, beginning of chapter 22, conversion ratios. How much does it cost you to talk to past sellers and stay in a relationship and keep building? How much past buyers? Okay. How about open houses? As I bet Camacho might have some words on that. Okay. How about now advertising done right? Look at that. Ad calls 25 to 1. You doing your own advertising with a marketing partner who helps set things up right. High numbers. You writing a check to somebody for cold leads, low numbers. All right there. Thank you, Sarah. What else you guys have?
Battery low. Phone 1 connected.
Well, Hobbs, now that phone one's connected, do you have something to say as well?
conversation and stuff was on.
Yes, it is, man. When you come in hot. Anything on the content at this moment, or as always, am I holding you till about the last 10?
Yeah, please.
You got it, man. I got your back. Jared, brother. Now you may have just come in with a hot mic.
I
That
did.
might have been what happened.
Exactly what happened. So sorry.
No, don't apologize, because I'm excited to have you in here pouring into your business. That is
Good
amazing.
to see you back, Jared.
Excited.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, great job. So,
Hey, Russ.
Doug or Jeanette? I know they're both in there. What do you got, Doug?
Yep. On page 112, there's a really interesting little conversation that their marketing director at the Group Inc. has with Larry. And she says, it says, one day Helen came into my office and said, "Watch John Holson. He's going to be a superstar." And I said, "How do you know?" And she said, "He's a great guy. He went all in on his flow program." John, a former police officer with 6 kids, did 48 transactions and earned $345,000 his first year in real estate. So it's talking about investing in your business and staying in flow with your clients. And Don likes to say, people like to do business with people that they know, like, trust, and remember. And this flow is how to do the remember. So I thought this was this is the place where most of us don't have our follow-up program in place the way we should. And that's where realtors consistently fall down in their business building and business growing. So I thought this was a great story to kind of kick that into the room.
Yeah, well, this flow is all about maintaining relationships and staying in conversation. And so many agents don't do it. One of my favorite exercises to do with people is to have them pull out their cell phone, go to the contacts list on their phone, look how many bodies are there. And let's just say hypothetically, people move once every 10 years and they have 1,000 people in their phone. If they just built relationships deeper with those 1,000, that would be 100 units a year right there. Because once every 10 years means 10% of the database moves. So we really don't need a lot of more until we get a lot of flow with a key few, a key group. And by the way, let's just say it's, to make math easy for me, 650 in your phone. To talk to them 4 times a year. Very interesting. All right, let me check some. Better now? Thank
You're
you.
back.
Come
You're
on,
back.
Joe.
You're back.
650 people in your phone, to speak with them 4 times a year, which is what you're supposed to do at a minimum. That would be how many conversations a day? 10. That's it. A conversation an hour in a 10-hour day. That's it. It's actually pretty simple and easy. We just need a system to follow it, and we're going to help you with that. Russell Scott, you're up, and then Dustin, I see you as well.
Me. Oh, hold on.
I got you. You're hot. Maybe you don't want to be.
Oh, I'm just kind of new to it. I ain't got the video. I'm at work doing what I got to do for the day, but trying to listen in on you guys and get some advice and get started. And, looks like ground zero. So you guys are pretty inspirational. So trying to
Good place
get
to
it
show
moving.
up. Good place to show up, Russell.
Yep.
Yeah,
I love that you're plugging
As
in.
much
So
knowledge as I can.
as you get caught up on the content, Russell, so make sure you get the book, make sure you get reading. That's what
I actually got the book yesterday.
Excellent. So next
Yep.
week, plan on coming in, hopefully with maybe a camera on, and sharing
yeah.
what
Hold
it
on.
takes from the material. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Dustin, you're up.
So I'm going to dovetail off of what Doug said and what we kind of repeat all the time. So there's a famous quote that I always love. It's one of my favorite ones, but it's James Clear of Atomic Habits that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And a lot of this, when we know what to do for the most part as realtors, of keeping in contact with our past clients, maybe setting a weekly call with our listing appointments and clients to fill them in what's going on with the sale process, but we just don't do it. So I think a lot of it is a big reminder to make sure you're utilizing your calendar. Everything goes in the calendar, and even a CRM, right? You can have triggers that, okay, the listing appointment went here, what's next? And it will just trigger you. So that way you can actually reach those goals, because otherwise everything's going to get discombobulated. You're going to forget to call somebody, but those systems are there to remind you what you need to do so you can literally go on autopilot. And it's unbelievably important to make sure that we've got a calendar and a CRM to accomplish these things. Otherwise, what'd they say? Like something like 70% of the people didn't use their agent after they purchased or sold with them.
Actually, it's much higher than that.
Yeah, right. It was
Yeah.
disgusting, really. You're like, oh my gosh, all you had to do was call me.
There's a 70% gap. So the math is 88% of consumers that were surveyed had a great experience and said they would use the same agent again.
You lost your mic again, buddy.
I am going to have to diagnose this. You know what, Kim? This is just God's little sense of humor. Am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
88% said they would use the same agent again. Only 18% actually do. That 70% gap is just a lack of flow. Now, here's the fun part. Rather than being hard on yourself of, I've fallen short, be excited that your competition is falling short every day. And you now have the opportunity to grab their market share. Mark Adams, bail me out with a good microphone.
Hey, brother. I want to tag off of Dio. I think also it's really important, like Dustin said, I agree with him. We all know what we're supposed to do. So what systems do we have in place to keep us on track? I would also argue that we need an accountability at a high level. And I've always had, for the most part of my career, I've had a coach. I hired a company my second year in the business. And I pretty much back then they were just starting with coaching and I hired a coach. And like the first thing that happens when a realtor gets slow is they usually fire their assistant and then they fire their coach. And I disagree with that. I think it's really important because what happens is that you and your coach are going to meet, you're going to go over your goals. And like at a high level, one of the things that my coach is teaching me is to get back into flow, right? Get back into flow. Well, I got my ass kicked 2 weeks in a row based on my schedule because I'm trying to rearrange it, right? And I had some appointments already in there. Well, guess what? I've got to be accountable to him when I speak to him on Monday, and he's going to want to know, what did you do? I didn't get this done. Why? Right? And I'm paying this person, and I'm paying this person very well. And I think every single realtor should have it. I like the idea of being accountable to one another, but it's not the same. And I feel like if you guys really want to be successful, this room is filled with coaches that would be glad to hold you accountable for a small fee. And I'm not trying to set these guys up. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying that in my business, for the most part of the 25 years, I probably had a coach at least 20 of those 25 years consistently. And what happens is, come like if you know when your appointment is, a flurry of activity gets done 2 days before you meet with your coach because you know you're going to have to be held accountable to the work that you told him or her that you were going to do. And if you don't, by the way, they already know. All they got to do is ask you your freaking numbers, and you tell them your numbers, and you're like, "What? You just said it 10 hours a day." You can make one, conversation an hour. We can do that. So you can't get over on your coach, and your coaches will let you know if they're a good coach. And so that I say that to everybody. It's really super important. You can do a low level accountability, but you need high level accountability if you want to play in this game at a high level.
That time I left my mic off. So let's have some fun. I think I solved things behind the scene on this accountability piece. By show of hands, how many of you know you should be having more conversations? Raise your hands. Okay. And so we know what to do. We just don't do it. And so that's what he's talking about when it comes to accountability. And the problem with having a friend holding you accountable is they also want the ability to not be held accountable. So you let each other off the hook. You take each other's excuses. You believe each other's justifications. Whereas a coach is going to hit you right between the eyes. So I'll give you one of my favorite examples from a coach I learned a ton from, Tony DeCello. He was coaching a dear friend of mine, and the coaching appointment that he was spending $500 a half hour to have this coaching appointment. The appointment was at 9. The gentleman showed up at 9:01. Tony said, "You're late. We're done. Click." And that was the end of the coaching conversation until the following week. Cost him $500. Was he ever late again? Okay. You need a little pain in your life, a little fear in your life. If you aren't, as Mark said, if you get into a real coaching relationship and you are not sweating before that call, you don't have the right relationship holding you to a high standard. Okay. So let's get back into the content though. Thanks for that little bunny trail, Mark. And I love helping people. Accountability is the breakfast of champions. I mean, I have seen Camacho at work, and he can be downright nasty. So can Don, for that matter. I've coached with Don, and boy, those have been some tearful moments. That being said, man, what do you guys have from the content?
I'll
Thank you,
share this
Caesar,
part.
bailing me out. And then I see Carrie and Stephanie. Go.
On page 99, it says about like. Generally, I observe that likable people tend to be positive. They have a positive outlook on life, and they emanate a positive vibe. They also are genuine, comfortable with themselves, and trying to be and themselves, and not trying to be someone that they're not. And it says they're confident but not cocky. They express a genuine interest in others. So that's, a lot of the times that's all that the conversation is like, be interested in them. Like we've talked about this as be interested and not interesting. I feel like I'll do some pushback in both, because I feel like you do have to be somewhat interesting as well to have like a good conversation as well. Like if someone says something, you can have another story. But generally people do like to talk about themselves. So like if that is the flow, then you continue asking questions. Sometimes people do want to hear from you, or like, hey, so that's when you were quote unquote interesting. But I just want to bring that likable piece. And also it says later on in that part where it's that you can't fake it. You can't just be like, oh, super nice, and then be at a soccer game and then be an asshole. It's all about being a genuine, nice person. That's something that triggered reading the first book is before as well. Like I can't be super reserved and be like one person at the gym and then like say, oh, my business is completely different. You have to emanate that same positive feeling that's who they associate you with, that other business as well. But I just want to bring that likable piece that you have to be genuine when you're talking to people.
So let's drop back into that last piece, because I want to anchor that, Caesar, for an important part. Relationship selling is a 24/7 career. You cannot be a loudmouth jerk on the sideline of your son's soccer game one day and Mr. Nicey Nice the next. Now, here's the fun part. If you're a loudmouth jerk, just be one. Think about this for, let's say, the sport of golf. You're supposed to be healthy. You're supposed to work out. You're supposed to be, attentive and coy and quiet. And then there's freaking John Daly with a cigarette and a beer on the golf course. And has John Daly, with, by the way, Loudmouth Golf as one of his brands, built an amazing brand around something that doesn't fit the norm. So be you. I love that. Carrie, you're up. And then Stephanie, I saw you, and Christy, I see you.
I was going to say briefly two things. So one, this morning on Workplace, I saw something that Maria posted, and I thought it was really good and related to yesterday and the branding and the marketing. It went pretty well. I put it in the chat. And then one of my vulnerable beings. So when it talks about being in the flow, sometimes I just like, I'm okay if I'm just talking and, being whatever. But when I know that I have to present something interesting, I have a harder time. Like, I feel like I need to know in advance, and I'm just insecure about it when when I'm about to do it. So I know that I need to do it, but I just feel insecure about it when I'm doing it, when I go to do it.
Well, I can't wait to talk next week about that doing it part. So, Stephanie, you're up.
So you can read this book 5 to 6 times, but if you don't implement, you get nowhere. Implementation is what it's all about. So you have to, at the end of the day, ask yourself, where did I add value today? What did I do to earn money today? Because you're earning money today for next month. So at the end of the day, ask what you did and then what are you going to do tomorrow? Plan your work your plan. Otherwise, you get nowhere.
And thanks for that setup, Stephanie, because I want to put in our little mastermind right in this moment on that topic. So I'm bringing my friend, my partner, Coach Robert Camacho in. Buddy, so this is a conversation, guys. I want Mike's hot. I want you participating with him on this little mindset exercise that he has for you.
All right. Well, this will be fun. Actually, this is Russ and I were talking about this because this actually happened this week. So we're in a training class. It's kind of a business planning clinic in numbers, and I may share a screen right here to actually show numbers because I think chapter 22, the first page, the conversion ratios, is my favorite page of the entire book because I'm a numbers person. So we're having this. We're doing a business plan. And we've got a relatively new agent in the group, and it's a small group, guys. There's like 8 of us, maybe 7 of us, and towards the end, so we have this mastermind about a business plan, and then after lunch, we're talking about how we're going to implement it. So I'm having this conversation with this newer agent, and she's been licensed since last March, has not closed a transaction yet. She's full time in the business. So I asked her. It was fun. I was like, so what are you doing? What are your lead generation activities? And she says, I'm on social media. I'm like, fantastic. Tell me what you're doing. So she's going through and, what posts she's doing, and she's putting stuff on there and just going down the list of everything she's been doing. She says, I just haven't gotten a really, some strong leads, some strong prospects yet. I was like, okay, I understand. So I paused for a moment. And then I said, let's assume for a second that 24 hours from now, 2:00 tomorrow, that I'm going to write you a check for $1 million. And the only thing you have to do to earn that $1 million is bring me a signed listing agreement or a signed buyer agency agreement. And I said, what would you do for the next 24 hours? Now, this was fascinating because the first thing she did was she sat up straight. She sat up straight and she says, well, I would have to start hustling. She said, I would have to start hustling. And then she does this. She says, I would get my phone and I would start calling everybody on my phone. And if they didn't answer, I would call them back again and keep calling them back again. She says, I would be asking everybody if they were looking to buy a home or sell a home. I would be asking everybody for referrals. I would not stop until I was going to an appointment. And she's just going on. And she's explaining about everything she would do in the next 24 hours for this $1 million. And I'm super excited. And then she stopped. And I didn't say a word. And what seemed like an eternity, but it was really probably about 20, maybe 30 seconds. There was just silence in the room. And then she says, that's what you want me to do, isn't it? And I was like, Mark Adams, going back to your point, we know what to do. We just choose to be distracted, and it's a choice. It's a choice. Everybody's been saying, it's funny that everybody's been saying, plan your work and then work your plan. We're really, really good at planning. We're not always so good at the execution. And that's where we've just got to get the work done. That's where sometimes your coach comes in. Now Don's not a mean guy. He's a nice guy. And yet he has some one-liners that will definitely make you think. And they'll stop you in your tracks. And it's like, okay, well, what am I not doing? And we've got to do that because as Zig Ziglar used to say, when his folks would come in, to the seminars, he's like, well, Zig, why do we have to have motivation every day? He says, well, it's kind of like bathing. You get dirty and then you take a shower. It'd be really uncomfortable if you went every 6 months without taking a shower. And sometimes that's as much motivation as we get sometimes, rather than a daily thing like this. So it's all about action and implementation. And that's what I got.
Well, thank you, my friend, for laying that out there for everybody. So, guys, what do you think I want you to do today? And if you're working tomorrow, and I want you reporting up. And by the way, it can be phone mark, it can be out pressing the flesh, it can be hanging out on the Home Depot packing box aisle, one of my favorite places to be Friday and Saturday mornings. All right, Sarah, I see your mic's hot. What do you got to take away? And then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Don Hobbs before we close it out.
Well, I think you hit my nail right on the head. Is I'm real good at planning, but the action and what do I need? I need high level accountability. Period.
Well, I think you and I are chatting tomorrow, aren't we?
Yes, I did schedule that meeting. Yes.
Yes, you did. I saw that. I can't wait to have that conversation with the little.
I got notes.
And I think just something good to add is that, everybody, you hear this stuff and, I've got to go and do this. All I got to do is go and do. And if you don't do 100%, then you punish yourself. And that's where the problem comes. So like when I'm teaching classes, it's progress, not perfection. What did you do more today than you did yesterday? And comparing yourself to you versus comparing yourself, like it says at the beginning of the Ninja book, comparing yourself and learning from those people and being humbled and hopeful. I think that's the message we need to key in on.
I love that idea, Tom, of giving yourself grace and analyzing what you're doing right and what you can do to keep plusing that. Don Hobbs, my friend, close us out with some incredible wisdom.
Oh, that puts a lot of pressure on me. I don't know if I've got it, but let's see if we can do something. First of all, I would say that if you've been in this room for any length of time at all, you probably heard me say, don't just keep reading these books for the sake of reading books and checking off a box. Every day that you're reading through stuff, like have, especially in your notes, there's the exercise for doing A, C, and T. There's the things that you're going to take action on. So in the column, on the column of your book, where there's things that you want to act on, like I'm going to take an action on this. This is immediate. But I've so often said, like, what are you doing with this? How do you apply it to you? I even love when people go, well, I love the part where he talks about blah, blah, blah. Well, that's wonderful, but what are you doing with it? Like, what does it mean to you? And how are you internalizing it? When does it hit your calendar? Where does it show up? Okay, so action, take action. C stands for change. What are things I need to change? What are things that I need to change in my world to get what I want, to have my life be what it is? Or what I see it as. And T is train. What do I need more training on? I love that Coach Russ yesterday said, hey, on Monday, I'm doing a session on calendar, and I'm doing a session on, and I'm forgetting what the other one is.
Morning checklist.
Morning checklist, morning routine, morning ritual. That's powerful because it's like, how do I take this book that's fabulous? And by the way, so content rich. It's like, there's no fluff here. It's like, do. And I'll finish with the thought of doing, and that has to do with getting in flow, because getting in flow, when we taught marketing, and a lot of it was direct mail at the time, this is old school stuff, it was about being there often. It was about being there all the time in their minds. And, our formula for direct mail, and again, this is a different time. We have social media, but lots of stuff today we didn't have then. But it was literally 1 piece per week for 8 weeks and 3 pieces per month for the rest of your life. It was 38 touches. 38 touches. Keller Williams kind of grabbed that and they went to the 33 touch, and maybe that's okay. But guys, we need to be in touch with people. We need to be part of their lives. And if we go back to something I think I said on Monday or Tuesday, whenever I dropped in, it's really about creating a relationship such that we are their realtor before they need one, and we are the person in their life that they count on. And the only way that's going to happen is for you to build the trust that comes from consistency. So flow is critical to your long-term success. You can do deals, but that's not long-term success. Go ahead.
Awesome.
Russ.
Well, we at our point are stopping. I want to honor and respect that. So appreciate y'all being here. Got an amazing, powerful, incredible day. Lean into